What is going on, everybody? Season's greetings here on our Life of Dad Facebook page. Art Eddie here for one of the hosts of the lunch break. My other host, the co-host, is John Finkel. What's up, man?
Dude, it's lunch break time, and it's almost like a couple more lunch breaks before it's like holiday break time. So this is the best time of year.
Yes, no doubt. Let us know where you're watching from, and also we want you to weigh in on this topic. It's holiday party hacks. We did kind of like holiday hacks, like how do you get your shopping and all this other good stuff done. For some reason, John doesn't like those last minute shoppers. He went off. Check out the other show last week on that. It's always on our Facebook pages as well as lifeofdad.com. But let us know where you're watching from. But this week we're talking about like holiday party hacks, whether you're going to your neighbor's house, whether you're going to the office party, or even maybe not worse, but just like maybe more awkward, like John has said before, your spouse's work party and like how you fit in. One of the things, it was funny. My wife and I were talking about this a couple days ago. Like, actually, the kids were here too. They were saying like, one thing I like about your dad is like he gets along with everybody, and when we go to parties, he'll talk to people here and there. So I think it was maybe teach them like how to socialize or whatever. But like, I don't think my wife has any issues of me going to her holiday party. I think sometimes she's like, who am I going to talk to? Who do I know? I'm like, I do the same thing that you do. Just go out and start talking to people. But
Yeah,
you have some good stories. You have some holiday hacks as we see what people are kind of weighing in on. Go ahead, man.
yeah. We got our friend Ron and Rand, both from Dallas. So we need to have a Dallas get together. I'm in Dallas as well, so maybe one day we'll do like a live show with all these guys. We can go somewhere and we can meet everybody in person. And another Texan. So here we go. I like it. We're coming out strong from the Lone Star State today. It's fantastic. Nice. Yeah, the funny thing about the holidays, especially holiday parties, if we're going to start there, is you basically have to kill time, right? You're going to be a good spouse if you have to go. If it's your holiday party, we can talk about that in a little bit. The two ones are your holiday party and your significant other's holiday party. And the funny part about that is when you're at someone else, when you're not, it's not your primary thing. Yeah, Luke, you're right. The short answer is don't. I know people who basically just go on vacation and say they're not, just so they can have a real excuse of like, hey, I can't go to the holiday party. Because for people who work, in an office, they see these people every day anyway. So it's like, unless you have a really tight knit office, you have your own group of people you hang out with. It's usually an amusing thing for most people because especially if there's booze and stuff's going on and there's movies written about this and all the thing. But for a spouse, like you're being a good spouse, you have 3 hours to kill, maybe 4, maybe 2.5, and you're doing what you're doing. Like because we do what we do, we interview people for a living, we do this stuff. Like I'm comfortable that you and I can both, like I can go in almost any room and I can find somebody to talk. Doesn't even have to be about sports, doesn't have to be about music or pop culture. I think I'm well-read and well-rounded enough that almost anytime this comes about, you're all set. But the problem comes when there's always people who, like, they push you to the limit of, like, who am I spending time with? How long are we talking? Why are we doing this? What am I getting out of this? Why am I even here? Like, how do you control that inner monologue? Even if on the outward they're like, wow, Art's being so personable and charismatic, but in your head somewhere you're dying, right?
No doubt, man. Yeah, you just can't I think you nailed it. Where it was like you're just killing time because you like. For me, there's certain parties that we go to, and I'm like, man, there's Saturday football games on. I just want to watch football. Yeah. Like, that's what I want to do, especially like the NFL. Like there's games going on. I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to watch football, and I just want to hang out and chill. Sean Kingbird, of course, very loyal viewer to the show. We always appreciate his insight. I buy all the same things: 5 of this, 5 of that. Every party gets the same thing: Secret Santa, holiday prizes, someone getting season 1 of The Sopranos, whether they like it or not. Here's the other thing too, like those prizes, like those Santa things, or like what do they call it? Like elephant gifting? What do they call it? Like a round robin type of thing? What?
White elephant is the new
white elephant. Yeah. So it's like, where did they even come up with that term, by the way? Because it's like you always got the elephant in the room. Is that kind of going with that? Because like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, the hardest thing is trying to figure out exactly how you're going to get through. The gift exchange is always funny, right? Because, you don't know who anybody is. And, if they do a Secret Santa or anything like that, like that's not a problem. But the issue that comes into play is if the food isn't good, for me, like I can handle and deal with every single part of every holiday party I'm supposed to go to, my companies or my spouse's companies. But if the food isn't good, if like you can't nail the food for a holiday party, everything else is downhill, and that's where you're really.
All right, hold up. What are like top 3 good food with their appetizers or main dishes, and then 3 worst foods? Go.
So the ones that I just went to one, and they had a really fantastic. It wasn't. I don't think it was a Ritz cracker, but maybe it was a Ritz cracker. It was some kind of cracker like a Ritz. With it had it looked like a piece of melted brie with like ham or something on top, like something with a meat and cheese. So we'll just call it a meat and cheese finger food, ideally, which is really good. I'm a huge sucker for mini slices of things, like any kind of mini versions of things. So a slider, pigs in a blanket, any of those I'm always good for. And I know this is like a very easy out, but like I actually like when they come around and there's like fresh, like good fresh fruit, not just like a crappy thing of fresh fruit where it's like, oh, mango. Like, all right, mango. Like, we got mango. You're like, I'm not a fan of when it's just like, oh, there's some old tired carrot sticks and some grapes. Like, I like when you look and there's some thought put into the fruit spread.
Yeah, and that's key too, because you want your kids, like, I'm a stickler for like maybe, especially whatever breakfast, lunch, or dinner, there's got to be some type of fruit or some type of vegetable in that lunch, Yeah. And so when we're at a party, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be nothing, just like treats and all that other stuff. So when someone pulls out like a fruit platter, I'm like, sweet, because anytime someone comes over here, it's mostly like new, like, again, back in the day when I used to work in produce department in a grocery store, like I was very sensitive to, like you said, fresh vegetables and fresh fruit. So you have the tomatoes, broccoli, crowns, carrots, and some other things, maybe cucumbers, peppers, and you have a nice, like, I'm not a big fan of, what do you call it? Well, I'm blanking on the name right now. My wife loves it. It's
ranch dip, you mean? Are you talking about dip?
Ranch dip. It's with beans. Why am I blanking on the name? You know what I'm talking about? Hummus. Yeah, hummus. So I think you put some hummus there and you're ready to rock and roll. For me, I just like fruit and vegetables plain. I don't need anything on there. So, all right, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
Taylor has a good one. Meatballs, meatballs are fantastic if you can figure it out. Like if meatballs on like with a little, toothpick in them or something like that, like that's always a good appetizer. Problem is, at all these holiday parties, they're walking around with the appetizers usually if it's a decent place, and you're trying to talk to these people who you really would, like you said, like if you could somehow take like a good pound and a half appetizers and go find a TV, like you're good. But you're also like, oh my God, I had one meatball, I'd like 7 more, but I'm talking about like, oh, yeah, I did see that story in the news about that thing 3 weeks ago. Like, I saw all that kind of stuff. What is it?
Look at this hack, Taylor. Well done, sir. Airplane bottles fit in Pringles can. Just hog the can.
Very, very. That's the next level. That's like in Jurassic Park when he hides all the DNA inside the shaving cream. Like that. That's a whole other. It's a whole other level of hiding stuff.
I've got dots in here. See, nobody cares. Sorry. Pretty cool. Cedric says, Holiday Hack 101. When you walk, when you and the cousins all walk, come back from your walk.
Yeah. See. Okay. The walk is huge. I just went to my wife's, and it was at a golf course, like somebody's country club or something like that. And I told her right away, because she's went away. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm taking 3 like 15-minute strolls. Like I'm just gonna go see the club, go outside, see what's going on, and I'll come back. But like, you need a little breather from those. And if you grab a cocktail on your way around to kind of take a little gander around the parking lot. Maybe one of the valets has when I went, it was a couple weeks ago when the Heisman was on. So what was great was I was just meandering around, hoping to find a TV, stumble into something somewhere. And I found one of the other husbands and a bellhop over on the side over his smartphone watching the ceremony, like watching the Heisman presentation. And that was a good 10 minutes right there. It was the best 10 minutes of the party.
Nice, man. I gotta put that in my holiday party hack list, because the walk sounds key. Here's another thing too. Jacqueline says, if someone has a food allergy, make sure you bring a dish or some food that you can still eat. Please remember, and that's as well. I think nowadays, especially when you bring in stuff to your kids' place, like peanuts or dairy or whatever the case may be, it's always good to have like stuff that anybody can have. So good point.
My son is allergic to blue dye, so that's always fun.
Oh wow!
Like blue, only in frosting or ice cream form. So he knows it. It's very easy. It's one of the easiest it's not in like only if he eats it. So it's basically like no blue. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing to avoid.
Nice, man. The unwritten rules of hosting a party. Food needs to be a hit. Yes, you're being judged. Food, sports, mix are the only things running on TV.
Yeah.
If it's on, I need to be allowed to laugh as loud as possible. Those are all keep up. Would you put in holiday movies for the kids to keep them entertained?
Yeah, it depends what kind of, if it's in, so that, we can get into neighborhood parties. Like neighborhood parties are very different. Like if it's a neighborhood party where no one's bringing their kids, it has to be clear right up front. Like I went to one where we used to live where like we didn't know, and like, nobody really made it clear. So like all it takes is like 2 people to bring their kids. You're like, well, this isn't that. This is now not an adult holiday party. It's a family one. Everybody should have brought their kids. Or you decide it's for families and everybody comes and everybody has a blast and things like that. That's good. McFly is a good idea. I like getting your wife hammered when she doesn't even know she's getting hammered.
There you go. Aaron bringing some food.
Full recipe here. I like it.
Look at this. Jalapeno chicken dip. You had me at jalapeno, then you had chickens. This is great. Shredded chicken rotisserie, diced jalapenos, cheese mix, cream cheese, cheddar cheese, a couple Mexican blended cheese, chopped up bacon. Wow. And top the bacon mixed together and bake until golden bubbly, and then serve on top of tortilla chips. Wow.
I like the serving on top of the tortilla chips already, so you don't have to. I mean, I'm sure you could bring other ones to dip and do everything in, but to be able to pull it right up from the bottom like that, have it be all cheesy and ready to go.
I'm not a cream cheese person, but I think I do everything but that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I used to make a dip for the Super Bowl every year called the meat bomb, which I could share for the recipe when the Super Bowl comes around. But the key to that was actually a layer of cream cheese on the bottom, and then you build everything else on top of that. And it worked because it worked for consistency and cool sake. We can get into that for our Super Bowl prep show down the line.
Nice, man. Like that. All right, yeah. So people, make sure you're there for that. All right. Any other hacks you got there, John?
Yeah. So one of the ones we were talking about, like the people are talking about for holiday parties, and then so if you're going to a holiday party that is not your holiday party, like, do you have the thing beforehand where you're talking about like, okay, who am I supposed to talk to? Like, because you hear about your wife's work friends, you hear about these people that you don't really know. And you go into it, and then your wife be like, "Oh yeah, that's Sam." And you're like, "Sam? Oh my God, Sam! Oh, she says she's getting a divorce." You're like, everything about what's happening in their life, but they don't even know you. You've never even met, probably. So hiding your original thought of this person who you've never actually met, but you know everything about is one. And 2 is having a game plan of like, who am I supposed to meet? Who you've mentioned, who you've always said like, "Oh, you should at least say hi to so and so." I think a little brief, like 30-second pregame plan, either walking in or in the car right before you go, will help, because it's like, oh, who's so-and-so that you talked about all the time? Okay, I'll make sure I say hi to them. Or who's that one person who said that nice thing about the picture I put up with our son? Like, okay, like I think a brief little pregame is something that could possibly help. Do you ever have that thought going into it?
Yeah, no, it's good because my thing is like I always forget someone's name if I meet them. Like, oh, that's Ken. Oh, nice to meet you, Ken. And like 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, hey, what's going on, Art? Hey, you, how you doing? So it's like I think I got the like you said, like if you know all about this person, they know somewhat of you, but they know. I mean, you know more than they do because your wife is talking. Yeah, so there's a lot of things you just kind of I keep things to like, especially now, like sports, movies, like pop culture, or if they're talking about something, whether it's like alcohol or beer or whatever, then we start, you try and find something that's like common. Obviously, don't bring up politics. Don't bring up things that'll be like
politics, religion. But what's funny is like there's always people who do, right? And it's like they'll make the regular comments about whatever party they're for or against, or whatever part of the news they're for or against. And well, if it doesn't matter what it is. If you agree, fine. If you don't, fine. But you definitely don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? So if they're like, oh, I hate, politician X, you're like, oh, he's a moron. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm having this conversation now. Like, did you see, like, you really just want to avoid that at all costs. And I think if you bring it up, that should be like, party foul, dropping a drink or whatever. Like, I think if you mention a political party or politics at a holiday party, you should just be put in like a hockey penalty box for like 15 minutes.
No, like, you just get ejected. You're done.
Yeah, you should get ejected. I think bringing up politics at a holiday party is an ejectable offense, because nobody wins. Even if you're literally at like a Republican holiday party or a Democrat holiday party, you're still the person who's talking politics at a party.
No, right. So yeah, so true. So stay away from that. Here's the thing: military parties can be rough. My husband knows all the dudes and some of the ladies. Here I am, just trying to figure out who is in the chain of command and who his soldiers are. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, because you're always like, man, like one of my good friends, he's in the Navy, and like when they go to like different holiday events or just parties and all that, like you have that like, all right, what can I say to that's even I think like multiplied on like what you got to say and like keep things. If you're trying to keep things to like very minimal conversations, very light and airy, especially for the military, unless you are like everybody knows everybody, you got to keep even things more light because you don't want to slip things out about like your spouse being like, wait, he or she did what?
Yeah, the chain, what Maya said, the chain of command, like it's so important, and everybody's, I'm sure, trying to be casual, and I'm guessing they're not in their, in their actual uniforms for their military dress for a holiday party. But you don't want to slip and be like, you just made what joke that I've made privately to you about so and so who's there, XO, and like, it's just so difficult. I would imagine that would probably be a nightmare for me to try to figure out and navigate.
And things become more complicated if you have a few more drinks and you're like, I know if you think you can judge the room after you had a few, you can't.
The thing, you have so much respect, like, especially if you're not military, you have so much respect for the men and women who do it. I remember I was at a holiday party for when I was working for the College Hall of Fame, and they have they have a couple people on their board who are service members, and one of them was an admiral, like big time guy, and I met him, and it was like he was a Navy SEAL for like 30 years, and then became an admiral in the Navy, like just a star, and I met him, and I was almost like, I don't even feel like I'm the same person as you. Like, you're amazing. Thank you. You don't want to say like spend all night saying thank you. You're awesome. But I was like, what do you want to talk to me about? You're like a superhuman.
Yeah, that is so true. But again, like you find the common interest, or you find what they're into, because usually with their job in the military, they don't have time to talk about hobbies and stuff. So you find out what their hobby is, and they'll talk your ear off, and that's a good thing, So
yeah. Well, it was interesting. You find out like, so the holiday party I went to this year was, like I said, it was the night of the Heisman, and I think it was there was a boxing match too. I can't remember which one it was, and you could see the guys who were trying to check their phone and see what was going on, and that was always cool. Like, it's a good tell. I think one of the things that you can easily like figure out for somebody is if they're paying attention, if they're like their spouse is getting annoyed with them not paying attention, like under the table, if they're you're all sitting around a circle table or something and they're looking down. Rarely is that because they're having like a fun texting conversation. Like there's no other hobby that you want to follow live like sports. So most likely I knew when I'm looking around the room and I saw someone with their head down, I'm like, all right, at least that person, we have something in common. You can make a joke like, what do you pick the game on? Like, what are you texting? There's a guy who I thought it was a Heisman thing, and he's a diehard Mavs fan. I was like, oh, all right, so you're welcome to Mavs fan. It's fantastic.
Nice, no doubt. Jacqueline goes, and military parties are amazing. Just remember that if you're in the infantrymen, they'll die of alcohol poisoning at least twice before you go to the IHOP for late night eats.
Yeah, that is I haven't had this in a while. Mostly really said and married and babysit and stuff like that. But early on in my work career, the holiday party core after party where like you knew with like a couple of your buddies and some other single and stuff, like girls you worked with, like we'll do this, but then we're going to this bar, and that's where you go and talk about everybody who was just at the holiday party. And then next day, like there's at work, one or two people are upset that they weren't invited to that one. It's like, what, you guys all did something? And it's like, oh yeah, we just decided last minute, like we were walking out, we figured we'd go to go down to that bar there, and then there's the group within a group deal you got to go with there.
No doubt. Love it. Yeah. So a lot of good things. I hope we put a good spin on it. Obviously, sometimes we're like, I don't go to these parties, but just have fun, be smart, and you'll get through it. It's only about like at the most like 5 hours, right?
5 hours. Well, yeah, if the food is okay, you're all set. If the food isn't good, last year or 2 years ago, I knew going in, like I had such high expectations for the food, and it was awful to one that I went to. And I had in my head, we went to In-N-Out Burger on the way home. Like I knew it. I already had it like routed in my head how I was going to go home to eat, because I didn't want to go to In-N-Out I was starving. I had like a 45-minute ride, and I did not want to go for 35 minutes of the ride and then order it like right before we got to the house. I wanted to eat it on the ride. So like in my head, I used my own little Google Maps to figure it out. And so I wanted to order it within like 5 minutes of leaving, so that I could eat it and be totally full, and then go to bed when I got home, not walk in the door at 12 o'clock with a bag of burgers and fries. And that worked out really well. So the after party holiday hack is just as important as the in party holiday.
No doubt, no doubt. So, all right, sweet. Last comment here. Chris Sullivan says, part of this weekend, I got to make my super nacho dip. Nice. So for everybody who is going to a holiday party this week or in weekend, and, obviously Christmas is Tuesday. Hanukkah's still happening, right? Or no? Is it?
Hanukkah's done. Hanukkah's over.
Done? All right. But for anybody, like, happy holidays. John and I, we might Monday, no. Possibly Wednesday next week. Just follow us on the handle right over there at Lunch Break LOD or John_Finkel. Me, Art, Eddie, the number 3 on Twitter. Just follow us and see what's happening. We might do a show, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, make sure you guys have a safe and happy holidays with your family. And if we don't see you next week, we'll see you the following week. And as always, we are very appreciative of you guys checking out the show with us. So for John and I, we'll see you guys later, and have a safe and merry holiday. Peace.